Hi everyone and welcome back. Since we have covered an overview about Google Tag Manager, what is the data layer, and how we can use it to create a variable within Google Tag Manager, now it's time to talk about tags. The official definition of tags is a code that sends the data to a system, such as Google Analytics. But the definition that I prefer to use is simply something you can use to track specific events that are performed by the user. Let's break this down with an example. Let's say that we have a product, like a product page, and we want to track how many times the user adds that product to the shopping cart. We can do this by using tags in Google Tag Manager. So let's agree tags or events in Google Tag Manager. Now let's go to Google Tag Manager to see these tags. When you open Google Tag Manager and click Tags, then hit New, click on this empty space under Tag Configuration. You'll find plenty of options to go with, but to break these down to you, you can think of them as two types of tags. The first type is created by the platform itself. The other type would be custom, which is not created by the platform itself. Now let's take an example to break this down as well. Any tag that you can find within this list is built by the platform itself. It is not custom. For our example, let's click Google Analytics and then hit the second option, which is the J4 event. And this is what we'll get. Note something. So each tag will look differently, but each destination should have documentation on what to add inside the tag, or you can simply hover above this eye icon, like what I'm doing right now. So for the event name, it is mentioned that specify the name of the event, use the recommended event names for best results. If we are not sure about this, we can click on this link so we can get more details. Or we can directly click the available links so we can know what is that value, what is this measurement ID value. For our example, the measurement ID, if you followed this instructions or if you are familiar with Google Analytics, it would look something like this. And then for the event name, let's do add underscore to underscore cart as an event name, since this is the best practices naming convention by J4. And now the last part is simply naming your tag. So let's name it J4 add to cart. You can use any naming convention that you'd like for your tags, as they wouldn't affect the event collection or this event naming convention. And this rule also applies to any tag that you have in Google Tag Manager. This is the info that will be sent to the destination itself, and the tag name will only affect Google Tag Manager. This is how your tags will look like inside Google Tag Manager. To save our changes, we will simply hit Save. It is asking us to add a trigger, but we're gonna skip this one since this is covered in another video. If you recall, in the last video, when we were explaining variables, we have created a variable that collects the add to cart price and storing it in that variable. This was the data layer variable that we have created in the previous video. So let's actually use that variable inside this tag. Let's click on the tag, expand it, and then expand the event parameters section and add a parameter. A parameter is a piece of information that is sent with the event inside the event that you are sending with Google Tag Manager. And this actually applies to any other destination. Let's give an example. So let's say that we are now sending this event, which is the add to cart. Whenever someone adds a product to the shopping cart, we are telling Google Analytics that, hey, this user have added a specific product to the shopping cart. That's all the information that Google Analytics now have. This is what we will be seeing within our event, within our reports, when we check the data for that event. How we can enrich this event is by sending an additional information. So instead of sending or telling Google Analytics that, hey, there is someone who added a product to the shopping cart, we can also mention what type of products that were added to the shopping cart, what was the price of the products that were added to the shopping cart, and any other information that we want to pass. This is how we get insights. This is how we can push more data to our destinations like Google Analytics or our pixels that we run ads with. This is how our marketing teams are able to track users or retarget users accurately. So let's give our parameter specific name like item price. For the value, we can do two things. The easiest thing to do is just clicking on this plus icon. What this will do is that it will open a list of all the variables that we have, either if they are created by Google, the user-defined variables, or the custom ones that we have in our container. So let's check for our variable, which is this one. We can simply look for it and click on it and add it directly, or you can also search for it from this search bar. So let's add it. As you can see, it is added automatically within the parameter, but you will notice that it has like two curly brackets. Please note that these should remain the same. You shouldn't remove them, as this is how Google Tag Manager reference variables, which brings us actually to the second point, or the second way on how to reference variables. Instead of clicking on this plus icon, you can simply delete this. And I actually find this way more cool than the other one that we have just done. So you can simply open two curly brackets and then type the variable name. So let's type DLV and voila, we can see the variable popping up for us. So let's simply click on it and hit save. It's the same result. It's just like a different method. Like feel free to use anyone that you like. Let's save tag. Another quick use case of another type of variables is the constant variable. As you can see here, we are storing the measurement ID, which is our GA4 tracking ID. This is unique for our GA4 property or Google Analytics 4 property. And we will use it when we send other events to Google Analytics, meaning that your team will actually need to add this value and each and every Google Analytics 4 tag. At some cases, someone from your team or even yourself can forget and, for example, type G-12354 instead of 45. And by doing that, you will not send the traffic data or the user data for that tag or event to Google Analytics. What we can do to accomplish or like bypass this error from happening, like preventing it from happening, we will simply create a new variable. Let's click on this plus icon. And by the way, this is another way of creating variables instead of going to the variable section. Click on this plus icon. And I think you already noticed like this is the variable creation like preview, like the same thing that you get when you hit the variable section and hit create new. So click on this empty space and then type constant over here. So what does constant variable does? You can already tell from the naming convention. It will have data that is constant. It wouldn't change. But the use case of this, you can use it to reference pixel IDs or a specific values that you want to have in place all the time, and you will be using it all the time, like the GA4 measurement ID. So let's add the GA4 measurement ID over here, and then let's name it something like GA4 ID and hit save. Now it would look weird because we did not delete the previous ID that we had, but it should look like this. It should have the variable, the constant variable, without any other thing or any spacing in this section with the curly brackets. Now let's hit save. This brings us to the second type of GTM tags, which are the custom tags. Let's click on the new icon within the tags section and then hit the tag configuration. Let's say that we want to configure or create a new tag for a platform like Facebook, so our Facebook pixel can fire on the website. Let's search for Facebook, and we can't find any values or any results for that. This is when the custom tag templates comes in picture. Click on this Discover More Tag Types in the Community Template Gallery. This is simply the template gallery option. Within this section, there would be lots of community created templates, companies that creates templates for specific tracking destinations like Facebook. Facebook did not create any official custom templates for users to use. So that's why some of the folks out there have created custom templates to simplify the Facebook pixel configuration. When we type Facebook over here, we can see that there are a couple of results. Let's click on this one and explore what it does. It is created by Peak Sandboys. Let's add it to our workspace. As you can see here, we have something that looks similar to the GA4 template. It is not identical and it shouldn't be. And we can simply add the required information within these fields. So we can create a specific event. There is a field called URL. It asks us to add the URL of our server-side GTM. Since we're not be covering the server-side tracking inside this course, and now we are only doing the Google Tag Manager client-side tracking, which is, by the way, this version. There is another version of Google Tag Manager called GTM server-side. This is not covered in here, and let's focus on this one. So we'll ignore this one for now. And here we need to add the Facebook pixel ID. If you have a Facebook pixel created, you can easily grab this information. And now we can select the event type that we'd like. So if we want to pass the add to cart event, we would simply select that. And we will add our Facebook pixel ID over here, name our tag, and hit save. In this case, the value here must not be empty. So I'm just gonna add any URL and hit save. What if the Facebook pixel did not have a custom template like the one that we have just used, and it already doesn't have something built in by Facebook within this section? In this scenario, we can use the custom option, which is this one. When you click on the custom HTML option, you will find that it have this space which asks you to add HTML or JavaScript code for the pixel that you'd like to add. Honestly, it might get a bit complicated at this point, but do not fear anything. Even if you don't have any coding or anything, let's just follow the instructions. So I have here a freshly created Facebook pixel. I have just created this one for the purpose of demonstration. As you can see here, it shows us few options to install the pixel. Let's use the browser option. Now let's select the manual option. And as you can see, the instructions are pretty clear. Facebook just wants us to copy this code, paste it to the website head. This means all website pages. And by the way, if you ever find yourself stuck or you don't know like what is the head section means, how to install this pixel on the website, you can simply ask your development team, collaborate with your team, look for it, use Google, and especially using AI, you can simply ask ChatGPT to give you a step-by-step guide on how to configure this sort of actions by simply copying the whole thing or taking a screenshot of this page and sending it to ChatGPT and follow along with ChatGPT. Or actually, when you do like a simple Google search, you will find a step-by-step guide that walks you through it. But yeah, So we don't need to understand the whole thing, the whole code over here, but as you can see, it is a page view event, and this is the pixel ID for our Facebook pixel. And that's it. We can name it Facebook page view, for example. And we can also use variables inside custom HTML tags. So let's say that we want to store that Facebook pixel ID inside a variable in a similar way that we have done it for the J4 measurement ID. Let's copy this value and let's hit this save button. So we have this saved somewhere. Go to variables, hit new, and then choose the constant option. Paste the Facebook pixel ID value over here and Facebook pixel ID and hit save. Let's go to tags and open our custom HTML tag. And then let's remove the Facebook pixel ID and open two curly brackets and type Facebook pixel ID. And that's it. Instead of having to manually inputting the Facebook pixel ID later on for other tags, you can simply reference it with this constant variable. There is also one other option that is way simpler than this, which is using Elevar. Elevar have pre-built tags, triggers, and variables for many tracking destinations like Facebook, Google Analytics, Google Ads, you name it. I bet you find it available in Elevar. Later on in this course, I'll show you a quick example on how to export a specific pre-built container for Facebook tracking, for example, and import it to your Google Tag Manager container under 2 minutes or even under 1 minute, and you can have your Facebook tracking ready